Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the esteemed FaceTime with Leaders, an initiative by World Development Corporation. I'm Sunny Pancholi, anchor at World Development Corporation. FaceTime with Leaders is a platform for industry titans to share their experiences, thoughts, ideas, and best practices in order to inspire one another and future leaders. In a nutshell, we attempt to encapsulate the multi-decadal learnings acquired by these industry leaders. We also hope that by conducting these FaceTime with Leaders interviews, we can bring together a global community of eminent personalities. By bringing together such visionaries on one platform, we hope to play a part in inspiring the lives of other leaders. Great learnings from great leaders undoubtedly assist everyone by identifying, nurturing, and using the trade secrets that are proven success formulas for many. And this is what we aim for with these sessions by making them a gathering of industry stalwarts and a knowledge sharing community. We have one such corporate giant and veteran on FaceTime with Leaders with us today, Ms. Shanthi Mathur. She carries over 3 decades of extensive experience spanning healthcare, business process outsourcing, and financial services. As a visionary leader, she has proven her mettle in healthcare IT strategy, business process transformation, and cybercrime intervention. Her entrepreneurial venture, including Zero T Plus Technologies LLP, showcase her commitment to digital transformation, cloud computing, business analytics, and cybersecurity. She is also the visionary founder and CEO of PrimedeQ India Private Limited, a flourishing e-marketplace specializing in medical equipment. Under her leadership, PrimedeQ has evolved into a comprehensive platform facilitating the purchase, maintenance, and servicing of medical equipments for smaller hospitals and vendors. Further, in terms of her entrepreneurial excellence, she has also founded S4 Care Consulting Services Private Limited, a boutique management consulting firm that excels in driving performance excellence and data analytics within healthcare organizations. With a distinct focus on understanding challenges in rural and semi-urban healthcare areas, S4 Care has become a key player in the fostering strategy transformations under her guidance. Welcome to FaceTime with Leaders, Ms. Mathur.
Thank you.
So to begin with, could you share a brief overview of your journey up to finding PrimedeQ and other ventures?
You've already spoken a lot about it, but it's a long, 30-year-long journney with several twists and turns. But let me start from the beginning. So I am an electrical and electronics engineer with an MBA in finance systems. And in between, I had worked briefly with an engineering consultancy company. But after my MBA, I joined ICICI. So ICICI was a financial institution at that time, and I was part of the project financing team. This was just post-liberalization. There was a lot of growth, and my portfolio consisted of large companies like cement, textile, steel, energy, power, food processing, and that kind of industries. So there, I think, to begin with, my learning from a finance professional was how to assess, as an investment banker, how to assess projects, expansions, etc., from various perspectives. What is the market dynamics? How do you procure the raw material and other materials that is required? What are the strengths with the management? What is competition? What are the risks involved in the industry? How is the company, mitigating those risks? How are all these things linked with the top line, bottom line, and other financial, ratios of the company, and so on and so forth. So that gave me a very good understanding of how to look at large companies. But at some point in time, I felt that, instead of number crunching, I wanted to really dirty my hands and I wanted to be part of operations. Okay? So when I got an opportunity with Max Healthcare, a leading, chain, healthcare chain, as you know, in our country. I took it, and coming from the background that I had from ICICI, I basically initially joined as a management assistant in business planning. Okay, so Max at that time had not even chosen the logo, so it was a startup, and we had a very nice team with medical, non-medical management, and all of them. And I interacted with all of them, including the technical collaborators, Harvard Medical International, and put together the business planning document and so on and so forth. So initially, it was a extremely fast-paced learning opportunity for me to understand how healthcare, as an industry, how hospitals work. Okay, and that was not only a new industry but also a very deep dive. And later on, I went to manage a hospital unit itself. So it was very exciting and very again a lot of learning there. One thing very exciting about healthcare is that it is intense in almost all areas. It is capital intensive, it is people intensive, and also from a customer excellence point of view, the customer facing, it's the touch points that you have with customers, especially patients who are in need of treatment and not a happy situation like a hotel, is also there. So it kind of stands on the pillar of all in capital intensiveness, people intensiveness, and excellence, service excellence intensiveness. So it provides several interesting challenges. But at that time, BPO industry was also growing well, and I got an opportunity to work with Aon Hewitt in their transition team. So I helped, as part of my role, transition processes from US and UK. And for me, that was the first multinational corporation, working with a multinational corporation experience, and also a deep dive into how to transform business processes for excellence, right? So soon after that, I got an opportunity to work with IBM India. It was back to healthcare, which was again an exciting thing for me. But in IBM, as you know, being a technology company, naturally we were looking at developing IT strategy for healthcare. So I was heading the healthcare business solutions team, and healthcare was identified as an emerging business opportunity. So I interacted with almost all the leading hospitals in the country, and we worked with Medanta, Just Lok Hospital, Asian Heart Institute, and several other healthcare institutions. So my responsibility was to understand their business strategies and bring forth my knowledge of actual healthcare operations, and develop an IT strategy for them, help with the system selection like hospital information system, and help with the deployment. So that was the main thing. But on the side, I must say, what I really learned was also, a lot of governance issues. IBM is very, very strong in terms of governance and, business conduct guidelines, contracts and negotiations. For me, I may have seen agreements before, but this was, deep dive. Every particular clause, what is the meaning, how to, interpret and change it. That was very useful. And I understood that was useful because as an entrepreneur later, I didn't have a luxury of having my own legal team, so that was very useful. I was the project executive for Asian Heart Institute, one of the customers, and I helped do a business development. Again, for me as a professional, it was a first business development role in IBM. Very interesting because you really interact and you can actually make an impact for the customer. They requested me to join and not only help deploy the technology, but make sure it is institutionalized, it is actually adopted and used in the hospital. This is important because healthcare is infamous for not using technology. A lot of resistance and protest. So I joined them as Chief Executive Officer, and not only help them with the technology, but also implement a balanced scorecard for performance management. So one of the things, so that because I already knew what their business strategy was, and how we had deployed their technology, but now it is a question of how to get the reporting started. Okay, so actually, what are the metrics down to each and every department, and how can you automate those reporting so that people are free to do what they are supposed to do as a job, and the management gets all the reports. So again, a new learning there, which I continued in my next avatar as a consultant with S4 Care Consulting Services. That was my own initiative. after leaving Asian Heart Institute, I had incorporated that in 2011, and uh, I had several hospitals deploy, large and small chains and the single hospitals deploy balance scorecard to manage their performances. Again, of course, from the technology background, help with their IT quality and various things on one side. The other domain that we did consulting on was data analytics and also image analytics. Image analytics is a big part in healthcare, especially in diagnostics. So we work with the leading company, which and help them develop a product which utilized image analytics. So very exciting, as a consultant, helping with whatever knowledge I had gathered in a way to help hospitals make an impact. But one significant departure was that so far I had been working with large corporations, multinationals, etc. But this was my first opportunity to work with small and medium enterprises, hospitals which are in tier 2, tier 3 towns and doctor owned and operated. So their challenges are very different. And, the resource constraints that they have, the customer profile and, their paying capacity and the challenges that they have in smaller towns is very different from metro cities. And that is something, I got to appreciate as, I was working with them. And that gave me an opportunity, idea to start PrimedeQ India, which is my current, venture. So PrimedeQ India is an e-marketplace for medical equipment, buying, selling, servicing, spare parts, and also consulting services like valuation of medical equipment and so on and so forth. Now, this was born from the problem that small hospitals were facing in small towns. And that was that they didn't have enough budget to actually, buy new equipment or even cutting edge equipment. So they prefer to go for used and refurbished equipment, to begin with. And that is not an organized market. Okay, so going back to the success of Amazon and Flipkart in retail and, direct to customer space, I said, why not start and, utilize the e-commerce platform and start, a platform which is focused on medical equipment. And people can come buy and sell. Okay, if they want to sell, they can put it up for sale and things like that. It's more like an eBay OLX type of model, which has been very successful. Except that we also need to offer services and spares. So yes, I mean it's 7 years now, and we are doing very well. From a professional perspective, the new thing that I learned was digital marketing, SEO, and the e-commerce as a technology, which was new to me at that point in time, but it was essential for the success of an e-commerce platform. But it is very gratifying because many customers have actually told me personally that this was a much needed service, and they didn't have anywhere else to go before that if they wanted to sell a equipment. It would be like a buyback or very throwaway rates and things like that. So it's very gratifying. So the important, I mean, that's where we are. But the important thing is that being an entrepreneur, you have to do everything. Starting from a peon's job to a CEO's job, and deal with everything, the governance issues, and the public, and everything. You have to deal with it, and it is very tough. Sometimes frustrating, but it's also gratifying, as I mentioned, at sometimes when you actually succeed. Today, PrimedeQ is a vibrant platform, but personally, I think I would say that it has given me an appreciation of what pains entrepreneurs go through, and and so therefore, I would be able to help other entrepreneurs, I think, with a better insight and perspective. So yeah, that's my long and short journey. Anything specific that you want to know, we can discuss.
First of all, thank you so much for an excellent start to this interview. And I must say your career journey is truly inspiring.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Very nice of you. Yeah.
So continuing our conversation, Ms. Mathur, how and when did you feel the need for each of the ventures you have started up, that is Primede, and how do you manage them all together? And finally, there must be some common values and principles that all your ventures are based on, right?
Yeah. Well, see, basically, the two ventures I already mentioned, because, being an IBM and actually doing it, I mean, being a consultant gave me a lot of confidence, that these are the things, and IBM rates were high. As a independent consulting company, we can probably offer more value at a more cost-effective rates, which I felt, hospitals could afford, okay, and they needed. And that turned out to be true. I mean, for nearly more than 5 years, we had actively been a consultant. But after starting PrimedeQ, I think, I had limited bandwidth at that point in time. And I already talked about why I started PrimedeQ. And I thought that was a good, there was a niche, there was a need, and that needed to be filled. But I think we folded Espocare into focusing more on medical equipment related consulting rather than various other things that we were doing at that time. So that's how I'm able to manage both of them together. But I think uh, as far as the third venture, which is Zero T Plus Technology, is concerned, it is more led by my other partners. So I'm more focused on cybercrime intervention, and that as a volunteer, I'm more focused on that. And I also do business development for creating awareness with the companies on cyber security and the need for it today. So that's how I'm able to manage all of that. Yeah.
That sounds incredible. All right. So moving ahead, what advice would you like to give to our viewers today who are future leaders in the corporate world?
Okay. I think that today the scenario is very different from when I started, I would say. It was a growth phase, post-liberalization. We all grew with India. And I think the market scenario was reasonably stable and growing. So it is good for professionals. But today, those who are joining the workforce have a very different scenario. What is famously called a VUCA world, right? And it is tough on people who are joining. But there are two other things I would like to mention, not that is significant. One is that in the past decade or so, I think professionals have become used to a startup environment or a high growth in IT environment and more in terms of job opportunities. And, we all know the startup frenzy, high valuations and high salaries and that sort of environment is no longer there today. I mean, things are not that easy for startups as well. So people who are coming into the workforce today are actually post-COVID the industry has been facing a lot of layoffs on the IT side, but also the employment rates are probably one of the lowest in the last 30 years. So it's a tough world for future leaders. And while what I would advise may sound cliched, but it is true. It was true for us, and it is true for them. And that is to focus on learning and their professional and personal growth rather than money. In the at least in the initial stages of their career. Especially because in the VUCA world, things are evolving, technology is changing so fast, and what will sustain is what they know and what they have, with their knowledge and experience is what they are going to be, that they're going to be relevant for next types of jobs are changing. Okay? And I think they should really stay focused on what they're learning rather than look at these salaries initially. Yeah, that's what I would say.
Rightly said, Ms. Mathur. All right, so let's move ahead and let's dive deeper into the subject of ESG and corporate governance. So here is my next question to you, and a very obvious one. How and when did you realize your potential in ESG and corporate governance?
Okay, so to be honest, I think there are two things. One is when I took up the course with Directors Institute on ESG, that's when I really realized the potential, I would say. The other thing is that recently I participated as a mentor in sustainability hackathon and saw what the youngsters are doing and the various ideas which are coming forth to towards sustainability. And I thought that this is a great area. But frankly speaking, while the realization is one thing, but we have been doing a lot of work in the sustainable ESG area already. I think healthcare lends itself to a lot of things that initiatives in all the three segments: environment, social, as well as governance. So nearly 5 years back, I had written a blog on a biomedical waste management. Uh, it was called reduce, reuse, recycle, and repair. The 4R mantras of biomedical waste management. As we know, that a lot of medical equipment are, either electronics. They have a lot of electronic components, or they have radiation components, and disposing them is a challenge to the environment. And so there are a lot of things that we need to do, and we help several hospitals do that safely. There are WHO guidelines that we need to follow. So on a regular basis, that is something that we are already working on. And on the social front, diversity is definitely, it's actually not a challenge in healthcare because there are a lot of nurses and a lot of women are already employed. But I think from a social impact perspective, as part of PrimedeQ, during COVID and after, we have done a lot of work to help people, especially challenged with COVID. But we are also implementation partners with Mission ICU, which is an NGO working towards setting up ICU facilities in remote places. So we have helped set up ICUs in more than 20 plus districts, even in Northeast, Jammu, and across the country. And so we are trying to help improve the critical care scenario in the country. And also, I think the cybersecurity or cybercrime area that I talked about is something which is fast developing, and it's a very horrible scenario, I would say, at a individual level when people are suffering both from a financial perspective and also from harassment of various different kinds from cybercrime perpetrators. And that is an area which I have been working on. And governance issues, several regulatory issues, etc., that we have as an entrepreneur I have dealt with, and as a service provider to hospitals we work with. So I think, starting as an entrepreneur, starting from drafting my own MOA and AOA and everything, governance has been part of everything that we do. So I think going forward, I can help other people, other hospitals, especially other organizations, in helping them with their ESG initiative. But one thing which I specifically want to bring to the table is my experience in balanced scorecard implementation, okay, which can lend itself to ESG. And that is something I realized that ESG, as against the credit rating methodology that has already been very established and very stable, ESG scoring and rating is not very established. It's not very consistent. It is not comparable. People don't understand how to quantify and how to develop metrics so far, okay, in terms of ESG reporting and monitoring the ESG performance, okay. And that is something I have been doing for a long time through my balanced scorecard services. And I think that is something I can help even bring to ESG as well to various companies.
So in context to what we have discussed right now, here is my next question to you. As an ESG and corporate governance expert, what values do you bring to the table?
Yeah. So like I mentioned, one is that there is experience in working with several elements in all the three categories. The other is the, actually helping organizations to quantify and to select projects, set performance parameters in all the three ESG areas, and develop metrics which are relevant and help them track their ESG performance. And I think the most important element is ability to articulate why this is necessary, or what these parameters mean, and how does this positively impact the organization, and how it is really relevant and probably non-negotiable. Going with today's the pace at which the regulations and the sustainability issues are going, how is this important, and how each individual performer in the organization can help the organization reach its ESG goals. And that is something that we can articulate, and which we can convince and help them achieve. I think that's what from my experience, I can bring to the table. Yeah.
Okay. So moving ahead, since you are working so closely with technology and its advances, so what are some ways you envision technologies like IoT, AI, ML, blockchain, digital twin, big data, Web 3.2 disrupting your field further?
Yeah, I think there's a lot that's happening. Healthcare is already always a darling of technology. So any cutting edge technology people want to somehow utilize, and it is a fertile ground, I would say, to use technology in a meaningful way. I'm sure IoT, a lot of work has already happened in IoT. I'm sure you're all aware of wearable devices. People wear their Fitbit and Apple Watch, and we know that most of them measure the key vitals, and report, which is meaningful for us, and sometimes it is life-saving. Okay, and there are several other IoT devices like fetal health monitoring devices, ECG. Many of them have come to the market already, and many are under development. And AI, ML, I think I talked about the analytics area, image analytics area that I had earlier worked on. There's a lot that is happening, especially in the image processing area using AI, so that in some ways we can make the equipment, say the diagnostics equipment, more helpful. Okay, they can already do the screening, etc., and you don't need a pathologist or a radiologist to do all the basic routine screenings. Okay, for example, the technology that we were helping one of the organizations with was for transforming the blood test that we do. It is being done using slides. Okay, in many. So how do you read the slide? Instead, it is all being done manually today. Okay, and you need a histopathologist who are a rare commodity. So how do you automate it? And how do you read the image? How do you identify abnormalities and report? So that is the project. And so similar AI-based projects are already being done, and I think a lot more can be done. Which can replace scarce medical resources. But I think the two areas which I am personally excited about is the digital twin that you mentioned, there area, and the Web3. There's a lot that can happen, which is futuristic. I think both the technologies are very futuristic, but it has a lot of potential. Now, for example, why is digital twin technology important? Because nearly for many decades now, healthcare is moving towards personalized medicine. Okay, so we know that many therapies and medicines that we prescribe generically are good for some people and not so good, for others, especially in cancer treatment, for example. Today, with the advancement of molecular diagnostics, there's a lot of, genomics and proteomics, there is a lot of, specificity which has come into the treatment areas. And so, for example, if you're treating a tumor in radiation therapy, if you're bombarding a larger area, then treat only the tumor, you're also killing the good cells, right? So similarly, if you're giving some medicines which are suitable for certain genetic profile, but not suitable for another genetic profile, that is going to do more harm than good to the cancer patient. Okay? So that's the reason personalized medicine is extremely important. And today there is a lot of analysis which is happening with these based on molecular diagnostic data, but treatment is not happening. Okay, your drug development is happening, but treatment may not be happening, right? So if you have a digital twin, while it is a technologically challenging thing, if you have a digital twin of you or me, and if there is an experimental treatment that is required for you, you may have the drug or you may have the treatment. You may want to do it on the digital twin first to simulate how the impact is, what will be the success of the treatment. Okay, so that's going to be a very exciting area, which will improve the outcome and the treatment for people, and closely, advancing the personalized medicine area. That is why that is very exciting. And Web3, I think, is exciting from the perspective of actually creating a large health. So we have the National Digital Health Mission, NDHM, which has been launched along with Ayushman Bharat, etc. And the goal of the NDHM was to have our, the electronic medical records, our health background for each individual in the country, as an electronic medical record available to be available to any treatment provider. And that is that's not moving at a very fast pace because of several challenges. And I think a Web3 technology, which is far more advanced than today, can definitely lend itself to decentralizing our medical records. Okay, and at the same time making it available for any hospital or doctor to provide the treatment as and when required, based on the restricted access that a patient can provide. And that can be much easier than developing a complete centralized database, which currently the various governments are trying to do. Okay, I think again, Web3 is a futuristic technology, but that can be very helpful in creating that kind of a database. So I think these technologies are really exciting. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing such amazing insights into different subjects, Ms. Mathur. So this brings us to the last question of the session, and here it is. We are building a community of industry magnates. The move is meant for cross-pollination of knowledge and building a knowledge-sharing community of corporate giants and industry experts. So what are your thoughts about these initiatives taken by Mr. Zishan Pathan, Mr. Heval Mehta, and the team of World Development Corporation?
No, it's a very important initiative, and I think it was much needed. I think they themselves articulated very well during their webinars and various this thing, and much needed both from the perspective of professionals who can share their knowledge, as you mentioned, and also corporates who can benefit from it. We are in a turbulent times, and much is needed. But I think I really like the approach which Directors Institutes bring, and specifically Mr. Heval Mehta and Zishan Pathan are very, very, very good in terms of bringing this together, the way they're doing, and highlighting it. For example, this initiative itself is, how do you highlight what an individual can bring to the table, what knowledge they have, what experience they have. This kind of initiative itself is very useful format in which to do this, and I think this is very well done. Yeah.
Great. It was fantastic conversing with you, and I'm confident that your insights will inspire future leaders. Thank you, Ms. Shanthi Mathur, for joining us today, and wish you the best for your future endeavors.
Yeah. Thank you, Sunny. Nice talking to you.
Likewise.
All the best to you too. Bye.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
You too.